Hey everyone, Teo here. Today I'm reviewing the Tonic watercolor pens made by the company Watercolor. First of all, disclaimer, this is actually a review sample provided by St. Louis Art Supply, which is the art shop that is selling these watercolors. And St. Louis Art Supply has also sent me this box set of liquid watercolor Optimus mixable color, and this is also made by Federal, and I shall review this in a separate video. Before we get started, I have a favor to ask from you. If you find the videos on my YouTube channel useful, do consider supporting me on Patreon, which will help me make more videos like the one you are watching right now. So this is interesting because Watercolor has filled watercolor paint into huge porcelain pans, and in this core mixing set there are 6 colors, and these are the 6 colors. We have permanent yellow PY154, signal yellow PY65, federal red PR254, quinacridone magenta PR122, ultramarine blue PB29, and phthalo cyan PB153. So when you are looking at the colors, don't go by the color names, go by the pigment code, because the color names can vary across different companies. Right, let's take out the colors. I know there is another company that also sells watercolor paint in huge porcelain pans, but I cannot remember the company name. Okay, so there is one extra empty porcelain pen. This is a piece of sticker, and you can probably leave it here. Can you hear that? That's the sound of porcelain. I have not reviewed watercolor for a pretty long time, so it's quite exciting to check out new stuff. And the price of this core mixing set is US $132 on St. Louis Art Supply's website. And individual pens are also available for sale from around US $20 to $25. They are, of course, more expensive compared to half pens like this, but you get a lot more paint. You get like 7 times more paint. You can see the paint sticking to the plastic, but it's not too sticky, thankfully. So we have the sticker at the back as well. And what is this? This looks like some padding for the bottom, which you can throw away. So this is phthalo cyan, which is actually phthalo blue. This is definitely ultramarine. Each pan is 20 grams in weight. Now, one thing you have to note with this paint is these are meant to be used indoors, because I'm not sure how you're going to bring them outdoors. If you want to bring them outdoors, you will need some sort of container, and you need to find some way to hold the pans down inside the container so that they don't hit each other and they don't break away. Let's compare this big pan of watercolor paint with this 15 ml watercolor tube and this half pan. According to the company, this has 7 times the amount of paint compared to a standard half pan. And a 15 ml watercolor tube can actually fill a half pan about 7 times. So the amount of paint inside this pan is actually around the same as the amount of paint inside the watercolor tube. And I would say you would probably get less paint in the tube, because if you are to squeeze the paint out into this empty pan here, the paint is going to dry and shrink and become smaller, and you have to fill it again and it will shrink and become smaller. So the amount of paint would probably be slightly less with a watercolor tube. But this is, for this particular color, phthalo blue, this is $12 US. And this, if you are buying it separately, is US $21. So in terms of value for money, if we are just looking at the amount of paint, you will get more value for money if you go with watercolor tubes. The advantage of this format is this is great for mixing a large amount of paint because the surface area is big. You can use a big brush and this can pick up a lot of paint very quickly and very easily. If you want to mix a large amount of paint with a half pan like this, the surface area is small, so you may have to pick up the paint several times. And also if you have it inside a box like this, when you're picking up the paint, you have to be a bit more careful not to have the colors contaminate because the colors are side by side. Now there are actually bigger pans like this where you can actually use a big brush with them, so this is actually quite convenient as well. And the advantage of these plastic pans is they are more portable. These porcelain pans, they do look really good. By the way, you can stack them like this, but I wouldn't recommend it because after painting, the paint will be wet. If you stack it like this to keep them, to store them away, the paint is going to stick to the bottom. So to keep these watercolor pans, I will have to find a big box or tray to keep them. Let's start with permanent yellow, which is PY154, which is a rather light, fast color. So I'm going to wet the paper here, which is 100% cotton, and I'm going to have more paint at the top and see how the paint will flow down. I can pick up the paint very easily, so the paint dissolves quite easily. So let's paint this at the top. As you can see, this is not totally transparent, but the colors, they do look really vibrant. You know what, I probably should have added more water on the paper. Now PY154 goes by different names from the different companies. Winsor and Newton calls their PY154 Winsor Yellow, and Schminker calls their paint Pure Yellow, if I remember correctly. Okay, so this time around I'm going to have a lot more water. I'm going to wet this sufficiently. So this is Signal Yellow, PY65, which is a warm yellow. And let's pick up some paint. Let's have a close up. So this is not totally transparent as well. Now this color is very vibrant. I like how the color reacts, and you can see the color is able to move quite smoothly, blend quite smoothly into the wet area. Next we have Quinacridone Magenta PR122. Okay, so let me just work very quickly while there is still water on the paper. Okay, the color is very vibrant. This looks more transparent. Now the binder that's used by this company is Gamma Ribic. Next we have Federal Red PR254, which is actually Pyro Red. Now all these paints, they are artist grade, actually very light fast. This is a warm red, a very warm red. This is not totally transparent. Next we have Phthalo Blue, which is a very classic cool blue, PB153. This is a very strong color, very high tinting color. Yep, so this is Phthalo Blue, and this is very transparent. And because this is so high tinting, you just need a little bit of paint and you can get very good intensity. And the last color is Ultramarine Blue, PB29, which is also a very classic blue. Okay, ultramarine does not seem to wet as easily, so I will probably have to, go onto the paint several times. Yeah, so now I have more concentration. While waiting for the paint to dry, let's take a look at St. Louis Art Supply's website to see what other colors they sell. So there is Prussian blue, phthalo evergreen, titanium white, and earlier I saw carbon black. So 4 more colors in addition to the 6 colors. So right now it seems like the range of colors is limited to just 10. The paint is highly pigmented, so you don't need to use a lot of paint to get this level of vibrancy or concentration, which means the paint can last for a very long time. If you do use up the paint, you can buy a replacement pan, in which case you will get another porcelain pan, or you can just buy watercolor tubes and refill the pan yourself. The colors have dried very nicely, so let's take a closer look. This paper has cold press texture. Permanent yellow did not look this transparent earlier while I was painting, and now it looks very transparent when the paint is dry. Same applies to signal yellow. It wasn't this transparent earlier, but now it's very transparent. And you can see how the colors blend. They are able to blend quite softly and smoothly. But how well the colors can blend or move on a wet surface also depends on the paper you use. And this is the 100% cotton Etcher Lab paper, watercolor paper. This is quinacridone magenta. This also looks pretty nice. It's vibrant and the colors are able to blend quite softly, but there is one dry spot here. Next we have Federal Red PR254, Phthalo Cyan PB153, and Ultramarine Blue PB29, which did not move much. So these 6 colors are quite transparent. If you create line art and you paint watercolor on top, these colors are not going to cover your line art. And these 5 colors do not granulate. Only ultramarine blue granulates, and the granulation is quite subtle. Since this is the core mixing set with a warm and cool version of each primary color, you should be able to mix vibrant secondary colors easily. So now let's mix some orange, green, and purple. Let's go with permanent yellow with Federal Red first before we use signal yellow with Federal Red. So this is very vibrant. And next up, we have this. While waiting for that to dry, let's go with signal yellow. This is actually Hansai yellow dip. And let me just put more paint here. And this is Pyro Red or Federal Red. For vibrant green, we will have permanent yellow and phthalo blue. Let me just tilt the paper slightly. Yeah. You know what? Let's add this permanent yellow with ultramarine. Okay, so this is not as vibrant. This is more muted compared to this phthalo green. And lastly, for purple, we will have ultramarine with magenta. Okay, this is pretty vibrant. While waiting for this to dry, let me show you some other huge watercolor pens that I have. So this is the Art Graph water soluble pen. Wow, this blue color has shrunk in size or shrunk in size. The colors are quite limited for this brand, Gansai Tambi, which is Japanese watercolor. Many of these pens are empty. You can find Gansai Tambi watercolors on St. Louis Art Supply's website as well. and there are way more colors. The downside is many of the colors are actually not that transparent. I like how big the pens are, so these are great for mixing large washes. This is the Gansai Tambi box that I purchased many years ago, and you can see the white of the box is now yellow. And I have repurposed the empty pens to fill watercolor tube paint. These mixes for secondary colors are now dry and they look very beautiful to me. These two orange look pretty similar to me, even though they were mixed with the warm red, this one with permanent yellow PY154, and this one with the warm yellow PY65. Yep, it's kind of difficult for me to differentiate the two. For green, it's quite obvious. This was mixed with a cool yellow and a cool blue, phthalo blue, and this a cool yellow with a warm blue, ultramarine. And you can see some granulation as well in the green. And lastly, we have this purple with ultramarine and quinacridone magenta, and there is some beautiful granulation, some texture. So from what I can see, the quality of the paint is good. These are all very highly pigmented paint. They are light, fast, and the color selection is good for mixing, and they are easy to mix with, and you get a lot of paint with each pen. Be careful when you're handling the porcelain pens and try not to drop them on hard ground. You don't really want to see such a beautiful porcelain pen crack. I like this and I will use them to create some of my watercolor sketches in the future. So if you guys are interested to buy this, you can check out the purchase links that I have for you in the video description below. And if you have other questions regarding these paints, or if you have these paints, you can share with others your opinion on how they perform in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next video. Bye!